So Latisha and Marsau Scott participated in K Ministries' The Blueprint to a Healthy Relationship. And Miss Chanel Scott asked a lot of really good questions. But one question that Chanel couldn't get past not asking was, how and why does Latisha allow Miss Wanda to talk to Marsau the way that she does? And Sasha Harris chimed in and she pretty much said that, her mother would never talk to her husband in that way. And she kind of checked Latisha, but she did it in love. So take a listen to what they talked about and let me know what you think in the comments below.
So Marsau, in your interview, you said that sex was the single most important thing in marriage. I need you to elaborate on that statement, sir.
Now, I'll tell you this. A lot of times I've heard this in the past that people say things like, oh, there's an 80-20 rule. Why would you leave your 80% for this 20% over here, right? Well, let's just think about that. Will your bank accept 80% of your mortgage? Would you accept 80% of an Uber ride and they just leave you 20% away from your destination? At the end of the result, 20% is a lot. All right, it's not 99.1, it's 20 whole percent, all right? You wouldn't take 80% of your job and just leave the 20% on the table. When you get married, when you're in a relationship, some of the things that define relationships are, spending money on someone, communication, time, sex. These things are inflection points in relationships. When you get married, you only say that I'm gonna leave one of these things for my spouse. Everything else I'll do with everyone else. Meaning that with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, you can spend time with, you can spend money on, you can laugh, they can comfort you, they can do all those different things. Except the one thing that you reserve for your spouse is sex. And so when you take that off the table, what you're saying is that I can't get this in a marriage. And I'd hate for people to go out there and think, especially women, to underestimate how important sex is in a relationship. Because once you say no, you're now in a sexless relationship. Once you take it off the table, now you're saying this guy can't have sex.
Okay, so Marsau, you said in your pre-interview that sex is the single most important thing in the marriage. And if there is no sex, then why even get married, right? But Absolutely. Then we have the vows in sickness and in health. So how do you explain that?
I explain that because, let's keep it 100. Guys ain't complaining about women, their wives that are not having sex when they're unhealthy, all right? Okay. We're talking about healthy sex. We're talking about, I don't feel like it tonight sex. We're talking about like, oh, we've been missing, we only did it once this month sex. But that's what we're talking, that's really what we're talking about. And so the idea of it is that you guys or women sometimes may think that it's an additive or added bonus. I'm telling you, it's a basic essential. And if you don't believe it, then outsource it.
Oh my God.
Is that not fair?
God.
Okay,
is that not fair?
Outsource it.
Outsource it.
Hey, one last point.
What are your thoughts on this? Because you said in your interview that you got it 90% of the time, and then the other 10% is just like, okay, whatever.
I don't know what Marcel talking about.
He ain't riding with you, Marcel.
Marsau, I hadn't had sex this year.
Kevin.
I'm just kidding. What was the question? I'm still shocked. Ask me the question again.
How important is sex in the relationship?
I will piggyback and say it is important in a relationship.
But it's not the single most important thing in the relationship.
No, because most of the time, I mean, for me, just us being in each other's company is good. And half the time, we own several businesses and we primarily work from home. I have my office and she has her office. By the time we get into bed, hell, we tired. Okay. It's important, but it's not the only thing.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I want to ask him a question. I want to ask just a real quick question.
3 minutes.
What is the one thing in a marriage, if she said, hey, listen, I'm going to take this off the table, what would you immediately think about divorce for? Would you say, if she said, you know what, I don't ever want to work with you again?
Communicate.
I don't ever want to talk to you again.
If she stopped talking I mean, there's.
Michael, I
we
want to
have
get
a
you in on
problem.
this.
I agree, 'cause if her mouth start working, I'd
Michael's
stop
take
too.
on this because I know that. So I want to ask Marsau and Letitia, how has working in the public eye impacted your marriage, negative or positive?
Our marriage, we get a lot of heat. We get a lot of heat about our relationship. People see our relationship on TV. They have a lot to say. So I get DMs, I get personal emails, everything. Everybody has an opinion. But honestly, it has brought us stronger. I think, like, we were like, man, this us against the world. Like, you may not understand our marriage, you may not understand us, but we know each other and we hold each other accountable. And we was like, we know what goes on in our household. So you have to make sure that foundation is good and strong, and you have to know what you have within each other. So it has definitely strengthened our marriage.
Okay. And Marsau, I know you mentioned something about being able to see yourself and even listening to some of the critics and making some adjustments. Some you throw out, but then some feedback you take into consideration.
Yeah, part of being successful as a black man in America is to really, a lot of times you have to just not listen to naysayers, right? And that sometimes can be a problem because growing up and to be successful in a lot of areas in life, you're not listening to the people that say no, that you're doing it wrong. And you have to be steadfast in your own beliefs. So naturally, you grow accustomed to ignoring feedback from other people, especially when they don't know your real story. You know, and just to piggyback on what Tisha said, it's been a real blessing. It's been a real blessing to have a lot of criticism, you know, because we were a tree planted by the water and we were 10, 11 years in deep before we got any feedback. And for millions and, I mean, really, like hundreds of thousands of people are just talking trash about your marriage and calling you stupid and doing all of this stuff right here. And this whole reality TV. And the wind blows, and you get bent, but you don't break. And then you turn around and be like, man, you know, the hell with them.
Right.
And you grow stronger, and you're like, it's us against the world. And you can't mess with us. And so now I don't care. And I love the fact that our marriage is so strong, we can handle all of it. And I say, put yours against the test. You know, you do the same thing as ours.
Right. I love that. Jack, but I have a question for Marsau, because you know I can't let this show go by without asking about the in-laws.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Letitia's mother. I have to ask. I'm sorry. My mother's in the audience.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
I honestly think that, and let me tell you something. Let me just keep it a buck. She's about 85% like that.
That's a lot.
So how do you manage that, though?
The first couple years, it was literally just, hey, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do this. I won't do this. Like you're gonna have to choose. But then after a while, she calmed down for a bit, and then just little bitty, you know, triggers that come up there, and you know, that's just a point of contention in our marriage, because I'm telling you, that's 85%, and even with the hey, set boundaries, you know, and I think that, you know, some people in our marriage, not me, let people get away with some stuff that they shouldn't.
I think Letitia's wrong. I think she's wrong. And you know I have love for you. And I just think some of the things that we see, because we don't see everything.
Right.
I just think you as a wife, and this is your husband, some of the things with your mom's behavior is out of line. Yeah. It is totally out of line. And if it was reversed and his mother was treating you that way, you would want him to check that and end it. So somewhere in there, I have a lot of love for my mom and tight. We're tight. It is no way my mom would do that to him, to my husband. And I think you're wrong and you need to fix it.
I hear you.
All right.
I
I love you. I meant to tell you I love you too.
receive that.
Okay,
I
fine.
receive it. And I have talked to my mom. I've checked my mom. Me and my mom have had like a fallout, but she's still my mother. So it is a tough position to be in when you have that, because I can't not have a relationship with my mom. And I talked to Marsau because sometimes Marsau, he picks as well. We was just in Mobile this weekend, and they was both going at it. And it's just it's hard to be in, but I don't know how to change my mom. I can't make her do what I want her to do. I mean, I've suggested like she don't come over my house as often. Like I've set those boundaries with her, but it's like, what more do you do? I don't know.
Have you ever had I'm just curious, have you ever had a conversation as to why she does it? Because it's an issue of respect at the end of the day. It's diminished respect.
Or she wants attention.
Could be.
Maybe she's not getting attention and she need a man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Oh, then she need to spend more time with her man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know it's a lot.
The tough part about it is that I can't stop it. You know, I can't stop it, but I just choose not to because of love.
Okay. All right, guys. That's nice. Look, that's nice.